Natalie. Let's bring in Karl Rove, a Fox News contributor and former Deputy White House Chief of Staff. Karl, really good to see you today. It's really hard to overstate how critical the next 7 to 8 hours are, right?
Absolutely. First, he's got a rally, which will give him some energy. I suspect there's a 100% probability that his speech is going to be delivered off of a teleprompter. So, anybody can be reading off of a teleprompter. So the mistakes he made in reading are going to be critical. And then he's got the interview with Stephanopoulos, and we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. But it's high stakes because the shorter it is, the greater the questions will be. The longer it is, the greater the likelihood that we're going to see more of the word salad that we saw the other night during the debate.
Well, and we've also seen the Biden campaign working to try to get through hours and days when the president is really asking the American people for another 4.5 years. And then we also looked at this New York Times piece where the governors met with him on Wednesday. And the New York Times reports that he told the governors that he needs more sleep and less work at night. A quote, he repeatedly referenced pushing too hard and not listening to his team about his schedule, and said he needed to work fewer hours and avoid events scheduled after 8 p.m. These are not qualities for one of the toughest jobs, if not the toughest job in the world.
Absolutely right. Peggy Noonan got it right by signaling to Xi and Putin that he's not going to be working at night. What do we think we've accomplished by that? Are they going to say, oh, well, let's not make a move on Taiwan when the president might be getting close to the time that he needs to go to sleep? And, oh, geez, let's threaten Poland during one of the morning hours when his response will be better because he's had a good night's sleep and hasn't been worn out by the day. I mean, look, you said it earlier. This has been decided. We made this decision a year ago. If you take a look at the polls a year ago, there were deep doubts that he should run again because people already looked at him and said he's not up to the job. Poll after poll after poll lacks the cognitive skill and mental stamina to be effective as president. Doesn't have what it takes. Reword it any way you want it. And we've seen polls over the last year and a half that before the debate said the American people had deep concerns that he was not ready to serve another 4 years. I worked in that place for 7 years. I saw what it did when a young man of 54 came into that office and aged over the course of those 8 years. We all saw it when Barack Obama in his 40s came in, and by the time he left, he was gray-headed. Do we really think Joe Biden, already suffering as he is going to be better over the next 4 years? And if not, do we really want Kamala Harris to be the president of the United States? That's a question a lot of Americans are asking themselves today.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because as the Biden campaign tries to work with his missteps, the Democratic Party as a whole seems to be facing nothing but potential missteps at every turn. If they're considering replacing the top of the ticket, isn't it really, really late in the calendar?
Well, it really is, but frankly, they're facing absolute doom at the polls. Think about it: 57% of Trump voters say they're very excited about voting for him, and I think it is like 29% of Biden voters say they're very excited about voting for him. A couple of months ago, 2 months ago, it was 37% of Trump voters were excited about voting for him, and 37% of Biden voters were very excited about voting for him. The situation has deteriorated, and who thinks that it's going to turn around? It's not. So better to in politics, things go in a certain direction as long as they can, and then they don't. Well, we're reaching the moment where people are going to say, you know what, no way in heck is that guy going to be able to get my vote or the votes of enough Americans to get reelected. And if you want to lose as a Democrat and throw the election away, great, stick with him. But I don't think that's how most Democrats are thinking. I bet you that he is gone. He's bleeding out, and his campaign is bleeding out in front of us, and it's going to end shortly.
Well, and there's the big money problem also, because we also have the Disney heiress, Abigail Disney, calling for a Dembargo against Biden in a statement to CNBC, saying, I intend to stop any contribution to the party unless and until they replace Biden at the top of the ticket. This is realism, not disrespect. If Biden does not step down, the Democrats will lose. Of that, I am absolutely certain. The consequences for the loss will be genuinely dire. Karl, your final thoughts here.
Well, this is why she's a Disney heiress, but more important than that are lots of Democratic activists, small donors across the country, and ordinary Americans who've concluded he doesn't have what it takes to be the president of the United States over the coming 4 years. And at some point, the family is going to put the country first, I think, above their own personal desires to remain in office.
Well, there are so many people out there waiting for that. Karl Rove, very good to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.